Congress returns to work tomorrow morning with the 117th Congress reconvening and the 2022 legislative calendar set for 21 voting weeks before the November midterm elections. The GOP is widely expected to take the majority in the House in the November races, and the man expected to be the Speaker of the House, current GOP leader Kevin McCarthy, joins us right now. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year and welcome back, Maria.
Thank you so much. What will be the agenda for this second session of Congress this upcoming week and in the coming weeks?
Well, the very sad part, the Democrats are in the majority. And when you think about this, coming up this month will be the one-year anniversary of one-party rule. And what do we have? We have COVID spiking, closed schools, and a crippled economy. And the Democrats' number one focus is still exactly where they've always been, H.R. 1, to change the election laws, to rig an election to give them an ability to win when they should not, to put a speech czar to tell us what to say, to use campaign finance to fund these elections, to weigh the Federal Election Committee to one-sided on the Democratic side. Now, we've been able to stop that. It's over in the Senate, but you watched what they did last week when we were out. Tried to politicize January 6th, and everybody believes what happened on January 6th was wrong beyond wrong. But as just you showed that clip, Speaker Pelosi and some are doing the research, using Hamilton, a fundraiser, they say, as that was used back in October 2020 for Act Blue. It really should be a different focus about securing our border, getting small business back to work, make it easier, not harder, to open a small business. Crime throughout this country. Let's make our streets, our neighborhoods, our schools safer again. And more importantly, what the Republicans have offered, a Parents' Bill of Rights. Let's make sure our parents have a say in our kids' education.
Congressman, is there any way that the Republicans will be able to stop the Democrats pushing through this H.R. 1? Everyone we have spoken with tells us that this voting bill is an effort to keep the Democrats in charge forever. What are you going to do about it?
Well, Maria, you're 100% correct. It is a gamed system that this is all they're looking at. Remember, H.R. 1, that means this is their most important bill. They've done it Congress before. We stopped them in the last Congress. It's sitting over in the Senate. The only way that they can pass it is to change the rules of the Senate, to change the filibuster. But fortunately, we have a few senators over there, along with all the Republicans, who believe that is wrong. That is where the emphasis needs to be able to not let them break the system, to change the system when it comes to elections and make them unfair in the process.
Congressman, I want to get your take on what this whole hype was this week around the January 6th year. Ranking member Rodney Davis sent a letter to Speaker Nancy Pelosi unveiling new evidence, he says, that Pelosi obstructed access to records relating to the security preparedness of the Capitol on January 6th. We have that letter that Rodney Davis sent. I want to get your take on what Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats did. Did they get out of the way and not stop the rioting intentionally?
Well, Rodney Davis's letter is correct. He is the ranking member on House administration that oversees the Capitol. And when you watch what Nancy Pelosi has done, she's politicized this process with not getting to the two main questions. Why was the Capitol so ill-prepared that day? And how do we make sure that never happens again? Well, what Rodney is asking for here is the communications between the Sergeant of Arms and the Speaker. And lo and behold, the Speaker says that will not come forward. So here she creates a committee, unheard of in the past, where she does not allow the minority to appoint any Republicans to this committee. She handpicks who they are, denies Jim Banks from being the ranking Republican on this committee, and now she's denying the information that can get us to the answer. She holds individuals who even work with the committee in contempt, but what does she do to herself with that information? Rodney is on the right path here, and we've also had the Inspector General come in and make 106 recommendations to make the Capitol safer. that has not been the case. On the Senate side, you had a bipartisan, Republican and Democrat, two different committees look at this, and we've watched the failure after failure. We continue to do the research and continue to do the investigation. Jim Banks, Jim Jordan, and those who were supposed to be appointed to that committee. We have sat with the Capitol Police, and we have learned a tremendous amount of information, that they were ill-prepared that day, that the information that had been given to people had not been passed on to prepare for them. Never were we warned on the Republican side that this was even possible about happening. So there's a lot of questions here, and if Speaker Pelosi, and remember who she appointed to the January 6th committee, the chair says she is off limits on this. But I think there's questions that need to be answered.
So have you heard back from her in terms of providing evidence of why this occurred and why the Capitol was so unprepared?
We have not heard back. All we've heard back from her attorney telling us that they will not be providing that information. And this is the difference. We're 1 year away. If we are fortunate enough to change the course of history and become the majority, we will have subpoena power, and we could hold people accountable to make sure the Capitol is safe, but also to make sure, why is the Attorney General going after parents who go to school board meetings? Why did Afghanistan and Americans still sitting there? Why did that process happen? There are many places that we can hold this administration accountable to get the information that America needs and wants.
So are you planning to have new investigations, new probes into some of this wrongdoing, some of the corruption that is on full display that the American people see every day around Hunter Biden, around the way they've handled the border? Are you going to be upping investigations should you take the majority then?
We are already looking into the investigation. We're asking this part of this letter that Rodney preserve that information. We have done this when it comes to the decision in Afghanistan, along the border. IRS releasing Americans' tax returns out to the public. There are many areas that we need to hold them accountable. First and foremost, if we are fortunate to be able to earn the trust of the American people and earn the majority, we will secure this border to stop the human trafficking and the drugs flowing across. We'll make it easier to open a small business, not harder. We'll make America energy independent again, the gasoline price lower, to be able to manufacture here in America. We will pass the Parents' Bill of Rights. This is just a start, but at the same time, this administration, with one-party rule in 1 year, has no accountability, and we will be able to hold them accountable and get America back on the right track. That is why I'm so optimistic about the opportunity for the future.
So let's talk about the future. I want to go through the midterm months ahead, as well as the primaries beginning in March. Now, we know that 25 House Democrats are not seeking re-election. We're looking at the 2022 midterm election calendar. Congressman, how many seats do you believe that the GOP can turn over? What kind of a majority do you expect?
Well, Maria, there's only a 5-seat majority for the Democrats. The lowest has been in 100 years. We have redistricting going on. That doesn't affect the Senate, but in the House. So some districts have not even had their lines drawn yet. But that number 25 is a very big number for Democrat retirements. In 2010, when we won the majority, 17 Democrats retired, already 25. I expect that number to be up to over 30 Democrat retirements because they see what the future holds and they see what the numbers. Our recruiting is better than ever before. The number of conservatives running across, conservative women and others. And remember, in the last election, while everybody said we predicted we'd lose 15 seats, we beat 15 Democrats. And every Democrat lost to a Republican woman, a Republican minority, or a Republican veteran. We need people to join with us to be able to fire Nancy Pelosi. If your viewers want to join, just go to firepelosi.com and help us win the majority, but help us turn this country around. It's not going to be given to us. It has to be earned.
Yep. So you think you can turn how many seats? I mean, it's been talked about 25 up to 30. What's your estimate?
Well, the lines have not been drawn yet. There's going to be fewer competitive seats, but my goal is to win the majority. If we are able to win a majority, that's how we're able to govern. We don't know all the lines. There's 25 Democrats retired. We want to earn enough that we have a governing majority. That means getting in the realm of 20 and higher. If we are fortunate enough to win 35 Republican seats, that would be the largest Republican majority in more than 100 years.
Congressman, we're going to be watching. We hope you'll come back soon to walk us through as the time goes on. Thank you so much, sir. We will be watching. Congressman Kevin McCarthy.
Thank you, Maria.
Joining us. Thank you, sir.